Well, today we end what has been a pretty disappointing 17th season here at Distillery. Yes, we're probably going to win a domestic clean sweep, but no SPFL, out of the group stages in Europe. But the story is not about us. Linfield won a European trophy a few years ago, and now remarkably, Larne just one game from repeating it. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 165 of this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back today having won the league title for the Irish Cup final against Linfield. We'll have our end of season review, tell you about what we'd like to upgrade in the summer, albeit we've missed out on 7 stars already. We'll have a look at those who are returning from loan and might be the stars the next season. And of course, we'll take a look at the Larne story, which is turning into the one of the season. They're saving our bacon on the coefficient front, so if you're looking forward to seeing what they've done, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. As you can see, both sides are going to be depleted for this final we're taking part in, so let's quickly get through the schedule and see how we've been getting on, because since you were last with me, as that's the wrong screen, we have been okay, to be honest with you. We showed the 3-0 wins against Glenavon and Larne, and we backed it up with a 2-0 win in the Irish Cup semi-final. Merivale, Austin and Scully, 2 of the old favourites getting those. A 2-1 defeat followed at Linfield though. We conceded in the 92nd minute, and I've got to say, in those big games this year, we have definitely gone backwards in terms of performance. However, since then, while not completely convincing at times, we have had 4 back-to-back victories. So Glenavon was the first one with a Howard, Brace, Stout and Evans. Against Coleraine, it was 3-1 thanks to Scully, Bird and an own goal from their January signing, albeit Saykirk, our international man, scored for them as a consolation. We got a 3-0 win against Larne thanks to Scully and Missilidis, and a 1-0 win at Glentoran thanks to Leo O'Donnell in spite of Josip Vucinic's second red card of the season. Yes, for a ridiculous challenge. So that's where we've been going off camera. I'm not too worried about the Linfield defeat because I know we're going to have a lot of turnover again this summer. But I've got to tell you, the players we're missing out on, the players that we're finding, that there's no interest in joining the club, is so frustrating. I'm just going to give you a little overview of a few. We're going to look at scouted players. I mean, there's some who are interested in transfers that would be useful, but aren't necessarily affordable. So £33 million earned 100 grand a week. We haven't got that really in the tank at the minute, but let's go through to those who aren't happy to join us. So a few examples near the top here. In addition to Vladimir, who had been a star for us before going to Liverpool, David Diaz is a wonder kid centre-half who the scouts found but won't join. We've got another striker from Valerenga who looks a model citizen wonder kid, won't join the club. He's the next Erling Haaland. I mean, you can see all the players who have been scouted in a different colour here and are shortlisted, and they're just too good, but we can't pick them up. We lost out on Casaran. He had a £4.5 million release clause, chose Villa over us, would have been the perfect Vladimir replacement. I mean, there's just literally hundreds and hundreds of them. Anderson, centre forward from Brazil, big potential for the future at 18, won't join us. Left back from Red Star Belgrade, brilliant player for the future, won't join us. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I'm trying to find the best one of the lot here. There's a centre forward from Brazil, and I absolutely loved him, but I couldn't get him for my life. Let me go and see if I can find him. Oh, here he is, injured near the top. Jan Carlos, what a player. 19-year-old wonder kid. Very similar to the guy we missed out on to Juve last year from St. Gallen for 11.5 million. And this guy, I mean, he would just take us to the top, but we can't get him in. He's now out for 4 months, so let's see if he changes after that. And that is the guy we missed out on to Juve. Geraldo Alesi, a year on. Oh, look at him. The one that got away would have been the perfect player for us. And now he's playing for one of the most historic clubs at the top of European football. And unfortunately, we just haven't got the pull of Serie A or of Juventus at the minute, and we have to accept that. So we're trying to find players further down the food chain who can develop, but at the moment, there is nothing pre-agreed for the summer. Larne and Linfield have got a few coming in, and mercifully, they're not all old boys this year. Linfield bringing in a couple of good 20, 21-year-olds. So starting to see some more positive signs on the transfer front. And Larne, of course, are stealing the show, because if we go and have a look at them and what they've been doing, I'll be honest with you, After the first leg of their quarterfinal where they were brilliant, I completely forgot about the European games. Oh no, it must have been the second leg, sorry. So they beat Victoria Pelsen with two very good results, a 3-0 win at home, 2-0 defeat away. They lost 2-1 at Metz in the first leg of the quarterfinal. Then I remember seeing this result and just going, what's going on? 4-1 at home to Metz, who to be fair, only a 3-star reputation, haven't been in Europe before, but a very good result regardless. And then the big one was the semi against Legia Warsaw, because a more winnable game on paper. They've beaten them before, I'm sure, them and Linfield in Europe. But a 3-3 draw at home left us a little bit worried because their away form had been poor. But they popped up with a 2-1 win. Antonio Ambrosio, after that big injury in the first season, has bounced back and become probably a championship level striker now, which is pretty impressive. And they've got Charleroi in the final, which is a winnable game, but it's not for 3 weeks. So unfortunately, due to the fact I'm only recording this 1 day in advance and I've got to get to the next summer through the transfer window in 3 days, I'm not going to have time to show the final. I would love to do it as a watch along, but I maintain the first one on this channel is going to be our team getting to the final, and hopefully that will happen. Not having a drop down from the Champions League to Europa and whatever, it's probably really harmed us in this save, because I reckon we could have won, based on what we've seen, a Europa League or a Europa Conference, but not to be. Let's go and get through the fixtures into the final game of the year. We'll see how we get on in the final. Then, of course, we'll show you what we plan to do this summer, because some of our loan players have been very impressive away from the club. As we've seen, we've got 2 or 3 players unavailable. Vucinic suspended. A whole host of injuries again, as you can see. Misalidis, Merival, Austin, Reed and Howard just returning from injury. Albert Press the same. I've got decisions to make. So let's go and sort the team out. We'll be back in a minute to run through it. Right then, here is what we've gone for. It includes a very patched together bench and a lot of fitness problems in attack, particularly off that right hand side. However, I'll show you what I've gone for and why. Hassan is the goalkeeper. Freeman stays at right back as Reed is only fit enough for 45 minutes. O'Donnell, Bird and Urza a predictable rest of the back 4. In midfield, I've gone for Houston and Lonsdale as the midfield 2. Bayavang as the man further forward. Then Howard and Evans out wide with Scully up front. The reason Howard is playing on the right, which I don't generally like doing, is that Elliott, yes, fit for 75 minutes, but returning from pulled knee ligaments. Misalidis got blisters and doesn't really play well off the right. And Merival Austin not recommended for selection at all, in addition to the suspended Vucinic. So maybe loaning out Dunn as well as Gash in January has been a bit of an issue for us, but with not having European football, we needed to save that bit of wages. And of course, it has meant the likes of Gorman, Lowry and Harding have played a few more games than it otherwise would. But that's the team we've gone for. We've got a strong bench defensively. Going forward, it's not great, and Johnny Burns has not been brilliant since joining the club. But we've got enough to win it if we're at our best. However, Linfield have beaten us twice this year, so maybe a cause for concern. Well, here we go. And if there's one criticism I would have of Linfield here, their squad has still got a very domestic feel, but maybe that's the fact that they're better at meeting the registration rules than us and they're trying to be a bit more sensible, whereas we're now flirting around the edges of it every year. But we have a look at our international team players. We got Simon Brooks, skipper in the side at right back, Martin in midfield, Mackie on the left wing, who we almost signed a couple of years ago, didn't we? There's plenty of talent in that team. Grant McCann is doing a better job. They've been near 100 points every season, and they've certainly given us a few frights. So if we're not on it, we could get pipped to the post next year. But for now, let's go and see what 11 we can put together and whether it can do enough here at Windsor Park. What a lovely sight to see an almost full stadium. Lots of Distillery fans in there too. We're starting to catch them on the reputation front. And 23,000 in. It's the upgraded Windsor Park we talked about earlier in the year. And that is good news for Northern Irish football, because Lisburn Distillery, we can't attract those crowds, but Linfield are certainly doing it. As Freeman gets the ball to Howard early on, finds Bayavang in that more advanced position today. Houston up to Evans, off the woodwork, and Black away before Scully can poach. A positive start if you look at the stats, but the problem we've got now is that it's a Linfield corner and we haven't taken our chances. As Mackie on the edge of the box, we know the quality he's got. Just over the bar, a good effort. And still 0-0. I'm going to say our centre midfielder's got weaker since Gash left. And I was wondering, because of his scout reports and his coach reports, whether he was good enough anymore. Jordan Gash is still a starter for me, so he's going to come back. He's been flying in the championship with Birmingham. and we have struggled there since he's gone. But now we're on the attack with Evans, and I won't care if we manage to win this cup final. It's a fortunate goal. As Evans goes for the shot, it deflects, loops up towards Jordan Howard. He pips his man at the back post. There's the advantage of having a striker out wide, and he nods it into the net with the keeper still down. 1-0 to Lisburn Distillery. Jordan Howard with the goal, and Jonathan Evans setting it up in spite of what has been a pretty disappointing year from him. If we go and tell the lads that I don't want to see any complacency, keep that focus and attention up high. We just got to get the job done when it really matters. And at the moment, we've restricted Linfield to not a lot. They are without Kashif Beaton, who is no doubt a key player for them, has often scored against us since he made the move over. And I wonder if they'll try and sign any of ours this summer. Don't forget, they came in for Houston, was it January, I think, on deadline day? Might have been last summer, I'm losing track. But if they come in for someone like that, we'll let them go. Will Larne come in for anyone? Imagine they win a European trophy, their reputation will take a boost. As we reach the hour mark, we've got to worry about this game first, because Holmes is on the way forward. Freeman chasing him. While it's been a shame to lose Reed for a long time, and Freeman's not been as good, it's been great for his development. Though it's into Hughes, it's not great for our cup final chances, because at the moment, he's been caught out of position, and that goal has put Linfield level. Just their second shot on target. It's not been a great display from a lot of our players, and I have noticed this year we've really struggled with fatigue towards the end of it. I'm not sure why, because we've played less games, but one of those things. Johnny Burns will come on for Lonsdale. I'm going to take off Scully for Missalidis, which is a gamble. I'm not sure which way round they're better. I'm going to do that. Missalidis off the right, Howard through the middle. Freeman is going to be replaced by Reed now, because even if we go to extra time, he should now be all right. Lee O'Donnell at centre-half, again knackered. He'll be replaced by Trevor Davis. And the same at left-back with Urza, the same with Evans, but we've not got attacking replacements. So I'm going to leave it a 4 for now. We'll give it 5 more minutes and just see if we get a response, because we've dominated the game for the most part, but Linfield are finishing the stronger here. Bayavang is having a stinker as well. I'm going to bring him off for Albert Press. That's going to be my 5th sub. Then if we get to extra time, Stow can come on too. I'm hoping we can win it before then, but it's not looking particularly pretty. Linfield now dominating the game. They've overtaken us on expected goals. And we're just not able to get on the front foot. So we go to extra time again, and it might not be a domestic clean sweep. We lost the SPFL trophy. We didn't get through the European group stages. If we lose the Irish Cup final as well, and let's be honest, against a Linfield team that will then have a better overall head-to-head record against us, it will not really be a pretty sight for us this season. And I know we've made a lot of changes. We've made the team a lot younger, got rid of a few very established leaders. But this is a big concern, because Linfield and Larne are definitely going forward again. And at the moment, we are flying backwards as Gavin Holmes across the box. Oh my God. We're 2-1 down. This is a big, big concern for us. We're in trouble. We're falling away. And at half-time in extra time, it is 2-1 to Linfield. I almost don't know what to say. I'm going to berate them because we've been awful since the hour mark. But there's nothing left in terms of legs. You can see it. And it's a Linfield free kick again. Another former player in Rory Lennon. Very much a fringe player for them now. But he knows how to take a free kick. And, oh, he almost wrapped the game up. We're going to go attacking. There's 5 to go. But I think we've lost. We've lost the Irish Cup final. We've lost in the SPFL trophy. And we've not made it out the groups in Europe. What a rubbish season. We haven't seen this side for a long time, have we? Standing in a cup final, watching the opposition pick up the trophy. I'd go as far as to say, by the standards of where we are now and the money we've spent, this season's been a disaster. Yes, a lot of those younger players, they're going to be better for the football. But I'm really disappointed. We need to do more work on the physical side next summer. We need to make big decisions on the squad, which you'll help me with in a minute. And we need to hope Larne win the final to save this nation's season, because from our point of view, it's been a shocker. Well, here we are on the squad screen, and I've highlighted the youth player who's not going to be involved in the first team next year, and the players who are out of contract or returning to their parent clubs. But I have included the players who may be returning from loan and seeing what sort of position they're in. So this is the squad as it stands at the moment, and I've got to make big signings this summer. We've saved a little bit of money from selling Jonathan Morrison in January and from not really replacing him, albeit that has ended up costing us. With us out of Europe, we couldn't afford to spend big, and I thought we'd still have enough. As you can see at the moment, we don't know what our budget is going to be, but the suggestion is it's not going to be huge next year. And not having that European money means that from the start of the season, we have lost around 10 to 15 million quid, because that's what we'd normally get extra. Now, I should caveat this slightly. At the end of the season, we'll get some money from the unallocated prize pool in Europe, and we're in a better position than ever before. Because if we have a look at us as a club and the coefficients, we're in the top 20 for the seedings, but for the revenue now, which is the crucial bit, we're up into the top 50, and our worst year and our last year without Europe is dropping off. So you got to bear in mind, we've only been in the European group stages for 6 seasons now. We've not had that 10 to 15 years experience we had with Bangor City. For now though, let's show you the Nation Club coefficients and how much Larne have saved it, because we were at risk of dropping down to 12th or 13th. We're very much going upwards now, because the job that Larne have done this year in reaching the final basically means we're going to overtake Turkey this year, which cancels out what Switzerland might do. Now, Switzerland have got everyone out of Europe. If Larne win the final, I think we'll stay above them as well, which will put us in the top 10. That will mean 3 or 4 sides virtually guaranteed group stage football. We've seen that with Scotland in real life in the last couple of years. The 3rd side into the Europa League playoff and they're guaranteed Europa Conference group stages. The rest of it though, we're going to need a pretty big year next year, because we've got that year in 2 years dropping off, which is huge. And we're going to need a few sides to deliver before then. I'm hoping if Larne can win this, we'll get a big summer from them too. For now though, let's get back to the squad and show you what I intend to do this summer, because with Morgan Hassin, we're going to need another goalkeeper in. Doherty's leaving, or is a 3rd choice at best. We're going to need a proper backup. What we've got in the rest of the team though is a tight stretch when it comes to the homegrown players. So we are at the stage, as we were last summer, where any player who's not homegrown in the nation, so even people we signed last summer like Urza, people we signed the year before like Davis, 2 of our biggest ever signings, if we get the right deal, they go. And if we find replacements, they go. We have got concerns about some of our superstars. So Leo O'Donnell is now wanted by big clubs. Same applies to Bayavang, Vucinic, Lonsdale. And we're going to get the usual unhappiness during the summer. I mean, Vucinic is wanted by everyone in Europe. We've got a few players who are close to their contract who are either on the cusp of not being good enough or wanting to go. So it might be a goodbye to the likes of Elliott and Griffiths. But realistically, how do I replace people like Paul Elliott with people who are homegrown in the nation? Because there just aren't any more that are as good. And that's the problem we've got to with the squad rules over here. We have got some positives further down the squad though. The player we signed in January and loaned back to AZ Alkmaar is developing really well. He will come in and probably solve our starting midfield problems. I can see him becoming a superstar. We've then got McGlaw Class, who we took a bit of a gamble on last summer. He's gone to Luton and had a really solid year in the Championship, so maybe someone we want to gamble on next year, or maybe closer to first team action. Maybe even someone we can sell for a big profit, either way. Jordan Gash is the big one because he's had a brilliant loan spell at Birmingham, doing really well in the Championship and developing. Birmingham finished 11th, so he's playing the top half of the Championship and he's a backup player for us. That's how good we are. We are going to probably lose people like Bayavang who are trying to force their way out. But the big ones coming back and the big decisions. And then our Paleka, who, if we can keep him happy, now we signed a new deal, is possibly our answer on that left-hand side. Because Lord knows, the money wasted on that Evans loan was not worth it. Paleka probably got the potential to do what Vladimir did and develop into a superstar. And the other one, and probably the most interesting one, is Declan Henry, because we signed him as a bit of a punt on a free agent deal last summer. He had 2-star ability and massive potential. Well, he's starting to reach it. He's had a good year away at Dundee United in spite of a couple of little injuries, and he's really pushing on. So my thought for him is, if next year we can loan him either to a big SPL side in Europe or to a side in the Championship in England, then maybe he will be ready in a year's time to take over from Scully or Howard, because Howard's 28 and getting injuries. Scully is 29, not getting any younger. And the likes of Meraval Austin just behind that and Misselidis are notorious for picking up injuries. So definitely some food for thought there. But my biggest concern, if I'm being honest, is that most of our homegrown in the nation players are coming to an end. And if we can't replace them with good enough players, we've only got 12 players that we can register for the squad, plus whatever we can home grow at the club. And that ain't a lot at the minute, if I'm being honest. So, yes, it's great we want to sign all these superstars, but they're not going to be happy if we can't register them for the league. And it leaves a real delicate balance that we never had with Bangor City, which is probably why we're struggling a bit more here, in tandem with the fact that there's no more drop down in Europe into the next competition. So, a big summer ahead. I'd like to know in the comments what you would do if you were in charge, which players you would look to replace and which positions. I definitely want to give Paleka a go on the left wing, because without Vladimir, we've been lost out there. And I'm going to try and find the best homegrown players in the nation, which Morgan Hassan is a great relief. But there's not a lot now that has come through in the nation that hasn't been poached so early that they've done the 3 years. So lots to think about, lots of potential problems, but we're going to have a go at it. Of course, we've not got the biggest transfer budget, so we are limited a little bit. But I want to try and get near. Larne may well steal the show as well. It would be ironic if we finish this save and 2 clubs from the nation have won a European trophy and we're not one. Do we throw it next season and end up in the Europa League? Try and give ourselves a chance? I don't know. But not having that drop down is a big problem for me. If you're looking forward to seeing how next season goes regardless though, and you did enjoy what was a disappointing end to a terrible season, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments, as I said, what you'd do in the summer, which players you'd look to replace. And if you want to stay up to date and see if I can attract any of those superstars to Lisburn Distillery, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. First things first though, there is a massive episode coming tomorrow from the Built in Bristol save. Wherever you are, whether you're up to date or not, make sure you catch up with the last couple of episodes and see that one tomorrow, because it has been bonkers. You can find that in the eye above, in addition to the top threes, the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and so much more. But thank you very much for your support as always. Another season out the way, this time a disappointing one. We really need to get back on track this summer. Fingers crossed we can find some stars to do it.